Hi, my name is Sean Pine, and I chose to do my presentation on the Japanese larch fir forests found in central Honshu, Japan. I chose this region because it is very different from other regions I'm more familiar with, and the species composition and location were interesting to me. Honshu is the largest of the four main islands that make up Japan, and is also the main population center of Japan. It is home to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and most of the large urban centers of Japan. Japan is one of the most heavily forested countries on Earth, despite its large urban areas, with about two-thirds of the country being covered by forest. The Japanese larch fir forests are found in central Honshu, just west of Tokyo. These forests are found in higher elevation areas of central Honshu and reach up to tree line on Mount Fuji. Honshu is generally a wet region with lots of rainfall. The climate conditions range from humid subtropical, warm humid continental, and cold temperate depending on region. Winter temperatures can fall below freezing, especially at higher elevations. Rainfall is significant in Honshu, with large amounts of rain falling even in the driest month. Average rainfall in the region is about 2,071 millimeters per year. Average temperature in the region is about 10.7 degrees Celsius. These forests are dominated by Japanese larch, Vetch's silver fir, and Mary's fir. Japanese larch is unique as far as conifers go because it is a deciduous conifer that loses its needles in the fall and grows new needles in the spring. The needles of the Japanese larch grow in clusters and are not as widely dispersed on the branches as other conifers. They can grow up to 70 to 90 feet, prefer full sun, and like wet, well-drained soils. Vetch's silver fir has single needles like other fir trees, grows up to 80 to 100 feet, and is hardy in higher elevations and cold temperatures. Mary's fir has single needles like other fir trees as well, grows up to 50 to 100 feet, and is also hardy at higher elevations and cold temperatures. All three of these tree species are native to Japan. Here you can see the Japanese larch in the fall time. Needles are about to fall off. Here is a Vetch's silver fir. You can see the silver color in the needles there. And here is Mary's fir. The understory of the Japanese larch fir forests is dominated by mosses, but they have some other understory plants present as well. These include splendid hibiscus and Japanese sunflower. This is one of the characteristic mosses found in this forest type. It's called the red-stemmed feather moss. This is Japanese sunflower, and this is splendid hibiscus. The understory of deciduous forests in Honshu are dominated by shrubs, unlike the coniferous forests of Honshu, which are dominated by mosses. Some characteristic animals of this forest type are Sika deer, which is one of the only deer that doesn't lose its spots upon reaching maturity, Japanese macaque, which is often found soaking in hot springs in the winter, tanuki, a relative of the raccoon, the red fox, which is found in most areas of the northern hemisphere, the Japanese siro, a type of goat, and the Japanese marten, which is a relative of the weasel. Here is a Sika deer buck. You can see the spots on it. Here's a Japanese macaque. Here is a tanuki, which you can see looks pretty similar to a raccoon. Here's a red fox, a Japanese marten, and a Japanese siro. Some disturbance regimes common to this forest type include fire, earthquakes, and avalanches and landslides. Very large fires typically occur once every several years, but the definition of a large fire in Japan is different than large fires elsewhere, as the largest fire to occur in Japan was less than 10 kilometers squared. Small and medium fires occur much more frequently at thousands of times per year. Earthquakes are another disturbance that can occur in Japanese forests. These earthquakes are relatively common in Japan, as it lies in the Ring of Fire, and severe earthquakes can cause widespread tree mortality. Severe earthquakes can trigger landslides that wipe out all vegetation in their path, and they can also trigger avalanches at higher elevation, snowy areas such as on Mount Fuji. Avalanches tend to occur repeatedly at the same place with relatively short return intervals. Often after an avalanche occurs, there is not enough time for the tree seedlings to become established before another avalanche wipes them out. Here's an image I found of Hokkaido after an earthquake triggered landslides, which, as you can see, wiped out pretty much all the trees in their path. Management concerns in the Japanese larch fir forests include privately owned forests, the wildland-urban interface, climate change, and natural disasters such as earthquakes and fires. Because about 58% of all forests in Japan are privately owned, it can be harder for the country to ensure the overall health of the forests, as they really only focus on the 42% that are not privately owned. Currently, the population of Japan is about 126 million, and most of the population is within the main island of Honshu. This is a relatively high population for such a small area and means that there is a large area of development that falls within the wildland-urban interface. The population is declining, however, and is expected to fall below 80 million by 2090, which could reduce pressures currently found in the wildland-urban interface. Climate change is another management concern in the Japanese larch fir forests. As temperatures rise globally and precipitation patterns change, it could change population dynamics within these forests and put more drought-resistant, warm weather-tolerant trees into areas historically dominated by Japanese larch and fir trees. While not much can be done to prevent landslides and avalanches caused by earthquakes, fire suppression is a management tool that can be used to try and limit the amount of fires in these forests. That's my presentation on Japanese larch fir forests. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, I would love to read them.